Griffin is going to do Sara Bash. He is going to use Bashes.
A minute away from his PB if everything goes well. Oh my god.
Is that faster?
Is that faster? Big jerk sometimes. He doesn't want to play nice. Oh my good lord.
What a save!
Oh!
He makes it. Wow.
Oh my god, nice!
Hello everybody and welcome back to the 2019 Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition All Skills Tournament. We have for you right now one of the last matches in the round of 16. It's going to be a best of 3 between our number 12 seed Vulajin and our number 28 seed Primorix. Bringing you this action, my name is Shed and I'm joined by my good friend and fellow bird, Jay Halcyon. How's it going, Hal?
Doing pretty well, Shed. I'm really excited to see if Primorix can repeat on his upset from the round of 32.
Absolutely. Do you want to talk a little bit about how that about Primorix's journey through this tournament so far?
Yeah, Primorix is a fairly new runner of Ori. He actually started up after a conversation with Vulajin, his opponent, at AGDQ this year. And since then, he's managed to get himself up to a 33-12 PB, which is very, very respectable. In the round of 32, he took down the number 5 seed, Lost Didu, in quite an upset. He passed him at the final grenade jump, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, it was definitely an exciting watch. Vulajin, on the other hand, is one of the better runners in our community. He has a sub 30 personal best, which is absolutely beastly. It's basically, it looks like we have a little bit of a race that's in the favor of Vulajin here. He's got a better PB. He's been running for much, much longer. Like you said, Primorix is very new to the speedrun just this year, while Vul has been it since the very beginning. So many years at this point. It's kind of obscene. Looking at the rest of the information here, we've got pretty similar routes. Looks like Primorix is still settling on the 6 HP, while Vul is comfortable with 5. We'll see exactly how that goes in this race.
Yeah, and being as new as he is, that 5th health cell early on can be a big bit of safety, even just feeling safe going through places like Sorrow.
Absolutely. So we've also heard from Vulajin a little bit of his strategy going into this race. Is he knows he's got an advantage. He knows he's got a significant advantage even. So he's going to plan to play it a little bit safer, just like he did in his last tournament race. Actually, he's going to continue that trend. But he has also said if he's doing particularly well for himself and is on PB pace, he'll pull out all the stops. So I personally hope that that's what happens. But here we go. Race is off. Runners have started.
Yeah, and of course, Sunken Glades here, the first area. Not a lot goes on, just a lot of running, jumping, maybe some color codes. Let's see if either of our runners decide to give us one of those. Doesn't look like we're going to start off with anything other than default white Ori.
Yep, and we're just going to see some running and jumping here as we progress through Glades. We're not expecting to see much of a lead, although with the amount of experience and time that Vulajin has put into this game over Primorix, I would expect to see him pull ahead a little bit. Not quite yet, obviously, but as we get closer to the wall jump tree, we'll probably see Vul take a little bit of a lead, barring some mistakes here and there.
Yeah, just being much more comfortable with that Glades movement will pay dividends for Vulajin in this area. The running and jumping timing, while it looks very simple, can be very precise.
Yeah, there's a lot of little tiny optimizations here or there to make sure you get onto this ledge without losing frames, things like that. And nothing against Primorix, of course, just them being new maybe aren't quite as comfortable or know about some of these optimizations.
And I was going to make a comment there that part of that newness, Primorix missed a little bit of his Spirit Flaming in that Frankie fight, but Vulajin matched him miss for miss, so we are still tied up.
The difference here in when they get the XP animation pickup. So we're still tied up despite a little bit of a difference there.
Yeah, that optimization from Vulajin coming out, though, managing to get himself a noticeable lead, not a particularly significant one. As
they're not literally frame tied anymore, that is true.
And that's just tighter movement, owing to Vulajin's many years of experience running this game, and even before the definitive edition came out, running.
Ooh,
Oriented
there's a big
Blindfold.
difference there. Primorix unfortunately had an extra health that he didn't want, and therefore it took him longer to die for that ghost door glitch. When you respawn and the door is not there, and you can just kind of walk through it. So Vula pulling ahead more noticeably now. The lead is not great, definitely surmountable for Primorix, but we're seeing some differences now. Just like we have, it's just a little bit more noticeable now, basically. And we're still just progressing through glades here. We still not too much in the ways of movement skills, not too much to talk about, just
Yeah, and our runners, of course, looking to set up that timed level up coming up here. It'll speed them up just a little bit. Vulajin looks like he's going to be trying to level up on the way back up. Primorix looks like he intentionally missed some XP earlier on to do the same while still taking that flower. So, again, a little bit of a slower option for Primorix, but keeping pace nicely with Vulajin despite the other's many years of experience.
Yeah, definitely good wall jumps from both of them. Not perhaps the best, and I don't know exactly what Vula looks for these days, but that might not have been exactly what he looks for in good wall jumps nowadays. But still ahead, still respectable, nothing catastrophic yet. That's going to jinx it now, and we're going to see something horrible on the way to Blackroot, but at least I called it.
I mean, come on, as Vula's very fond of telling everyone in the community, jinxes don't exist. Despite him missing a jump immediately after you said it.
Primorix having a little bit of trouble as well, though. Not too much in terms of time. Progressing out of this area, doing quite well. A couple of damage boosts. Both doing okay. All right, we're still good.
Yeah, and coming up here into the Blackroot Burrows area, we'll see if how much more Vulajin's experience pays off for him in this area, as Primorix taking a little bit of a misstep there with that rock. Looks like Vulajin is going to go for the Slime Genocide route, while Primorix is going to do a more standard route. So we'll see a little bit of deviation here, with Vulajin aiming to get an earlier platform cycle in the main room.
Yeah, we're going to see Primorix pick up an extra XP orb in this area, which is actually worth 100 XP, while Vula is instead going to be making up all of that XP by killing the enemies in this area. And what that allows him to allows Vula to do is to catch an earlier platform cycle, basically. Primorix can make up a little bit of that time with some intentional save quits and reloads. We'll see if he actually does them, because they can be a little finicky, especially if you have not put a lot of time into learning exactly how those kinds of things work.
Yeah, both of them able to place a couple of safety saves going through this area if they aren't doing that reload. So we saw Vulajin place one down just before starting this jump across with the spikes, and we'll see how what kind of cycle he gets on these lasers. I think that's the one that he was looking for.
Yep, he has made the platform cycle just fine. Primorix did that jump up to the XP orb very well as well. The jump is non-trivial, though not the most difficult thing in the world, so doing it first try is still great. We're not going to see that save and reload I mentioned from him, though he'll be catching a perfectly fine cycle. But it is going to allow Vula to pull ahead a little bit more substantially than we've seen so far.
And Primorix,
Go ahead.
Primorix here, his XP is a little bit high. Good on him to make note of that, dodging that slime instead of killing it. He doesn't want to level up quite so soon.
Ooh, no, Vulajin taking a fall. That's not great. Definitely not what you're looking for. Or not a fall, but he missed the cycle. Similar.
Yeah, that's
have to wait. He had to wait for it to come back down so he could get back on it again, and that'll let Primorix catch up. That's actually basically the genocide cycle advantage gone for Vula.
Yeah, about a almost exactly a 4-second delta there on those platforms. They were pretty much synced up, just going in the opposite direction.
That is real close.
Now, I'm pretty sure neither of these runners goes for the cutscene stack. Yeah, it looks like they're both gonna hold on to their save anywhere long enough to do the standard skip here. So we won't have any danger of either runner falling down into the depths of Blackroot and losing potentially minutes.
Yep. Genocide, of course, is basically incapable of doing that stack, and Primorix saying that is too hard for me, which is entirely fair. It's too hard for me too, to be honest, and opting for the safe. All right, here we go. Leaving Blackroot, we have picked up the dash skill. Lets us zoom across the ground. We're going to be heading up to the Frankie Walk trick. If you've been watching the tournament so far, you're very familiar with this one. We're going to kite a Frankie enemy cross this main starting room and use him to sequence break into an area that we're not supposed to be in yet. Vula having a little bit of trouble getting the Frankie to follow him up onto that ledge.
Yeah, the little mistakes adding up, keeping Primorix in this race. Oh no, Primorix, Frankie getting into a little bit of an awkward spot, manages to get it out.
Yeah, that's not a spot you want that Frankie to be in. He can get stuck, and you'd have to make him jump back and then forth. But here's the Frankie Walk done for Vulajin, successfully levels up, and he's into the area we call the Death Gauntlet. Because, of course, if you take a death in this area, which is non-trivial, you are back to the dash tree, which is a lot of time loss. Death Glide, bonks on the ceiling. Vula's okay. My goodness, that was close. All right, but we've made it through. He should be okay now. Vula, please safety save. Meanwhile, Prim on the other screen is coming into it. Gonna take the safe option.
Yeah, and that's definitely a respectable choice to make. I've been running this game for a little over a year, and I don't go for that dash glide. Primorix picking up the energy cell and immediately saving for safety.
God Cycle for Vulajin makes it clean in. That is a very precise movement there, and that is going to save him 8 seconds over Primorix if Primorix does not get it. We'll see if he even goes for it. It's pretty free to go for. Oh, not quite. All right.
Yeah, Vulajin being one of our more consistent runners, he has not missed essentially any of the major tricks in this run. Small death for Vulajin there, not too bad. He has his Ghost Door save he'll go back to again. We don't expect to see Vulajin miss too many of these major tricks.
Yeah, definitely.
He has the experience.
All right, coming into the double jump tree, we're going to see that blind movement trick, allowing Vula to run off to the side while the tree is playing its animation. High five, although we can't see Vula do it. And Primorix is down to the double jump tree as well. Vula making it very high up off the wall on the blind movement there. That's kind of impressive.
Yeah, we'll see if Primorix can match that as they work their way toward the grotto skip. And he does. Very nicely done for Primorix.
Yeah, definitely. Here's grotto skip for Vulajin. A little bit of a precise jump makes it up perfectly clean. Primorix is going to have to match that if he doesn't want to lose more time. Setting up. Nicely done.
Yeah, just losing a little bit of time to that animation, picking up the XP, but nothing nearly so major as missing the jump.
Absolutely. All right, Vulajin is now at the top of this climb in Grotto, going to be picking up the water vein key to the first dungeon, which is also where we're headed next. Primorix following behind, having a little bit of trouble with these walls, not too much. Hopefully there's not more. These walls are notorious in this area, Moon Grotto. because in Ori in the Blind Forest, the ground and walls are their hitboxes are exactly what you see they are. They have all these bumps and ridges in them, and in this area in particular, that can kind of screw you up when you're trying to go fast and be precise while climbing up these walls with the wall jump and double jump movement. But we're doing just fine by the looks of things on both sides in regards to that.
Yeah, and a bit of an update on the exact time differential between them. Thank you to our friends in the truck. We have 11 seconds between the two runners at the water vein. So Primorix doing a great job keeping it close.
Not gonna lie, I'm not surprised that that's the delta right now, but I was expecting it to be more. But that's just a good word for Primorix and maybe Vula having a little bit more trouble than he'd like in this early game. Vula, I failed to mention, just made a extra fast cycle in Swamp here, so that's saving a little bit more time. I doubt we're going to see Primorix go for it. Yeah, no, he is not going for this God Cycle, as it is, to be honest, stupidly precise, especially when you're grabbing that ability cell up top.
No, Primorix having a little bit of trouble there. Maybe he didn't pull the rock out quite enough.
Here we go.
There we
Vulajin in the Ginso tree now. Primorix about to head up to the entrance. That delta's probably increased a little bit with that trouble from Prim.
Yeah, Vulajin doing an excellent job showing us
that was neat.
Vertical movement that the Ginso tree is most known for, as he works his way through very nice.
Yeah, he made a really fast cycle in that second room with style, I must say. It was cool to watch.
And now as Vulajin is waiting on some shot cycles, we can watch Primorix cover that same ground. We'll see if he can get a quick cycle on these schemers as well. Looks like he's not going for quite so aggressive a cycle.
All right, a little bit behind the fastest cycle there, but made it through. No falls, no drops. Vulajin on the mini boss now in this area. It's a little bit of RNG that we have in this run. Comes mostly in the form of this mini boss, but experienced runners can mitigate it basically, and Vula does very nicely. I believe that was a 5 cycle, which is exactly what you'd expect to get.
Yeah, it is possible with absolutely perfect mashing to get a 4 cycle, but it's very difficult.
Yeah, we rarely ever see 4 cycles even from the top runners. Ooh, that's a little spooky. Not the strat Vula was going for in this room, but he makes it through. He's okay. Here's a ghost door. Yep, there. And we're making it to the bash tree. Primorix on his Ginso mini boss 1.
No,
Having
accidentally
a little bit more
scaring the
trouble,
mortar
yeah.
worm.
This mini boss is skittish. You kind of have to be close enough to him to hit him, and you have to be far enough away that the mini boss doesn't run off to a different spot.
Yeah, I think that was about a 6 cycle from Primorix, so not quite as
5.5.
fast as... Yeah, one of the cycles was fairly quick because he spooked the boss underground, but fairly quick regardless.
All right, we're coming up on the key dupe trick for Vula here. You're going to see him take an intentional death with some keys in the door. That's just so we don't have to collect keystones later. Primorix coming up on the bash tree now, and we'll get that delta for you when he does get.
Yeah, Vulajin stretching that lead out through the Ginso tree with that good movement. He's now up to 54 seconds ahead of Primorix at the bash tree.
So Vula taking that significant lead now. It's at this point basic with how Vula does in the late game, especially compared to a runner of newer experience like Primorix. I would expect that for a lead like that to close, it's going to take some sort of mistake from Vula. Definitely still possible. There's a lot to go in this run, and we'll see exactly how it turns out as we go.
Ooh, Primorix taking a death there on failing his key dupe, so he'll have to go through and do that again. That's a tough time loss to take.
Definitely not what you want. Vula, we're seeing with some more blind movement here. He's coming up to the swamp entry trick. This is one of those tricks that can cause those kinds of mistakes that I would... Vula is well practiced, and I don't expect to see anything out of him, in terms of mistakes at least. Looks good so far. Oh, that's close. All right, cool. He's in.
Yeah, Vulajin using a slightly different method for that swamp entry redirection than a lot of our runners do, incorporating a lot of dashes to catch up with the projectile rather than a double bash to send himself in the same direction. Looks very neat when he does it.
Yeah, Vulajin runs the vast majority of this category on a controller, which has a slight disadvantage over under KBM controls, mostly in terms of rebinds and an easier form of the double bash trick, where you see our runners are capable of sending Ori and a projectile in similar directions rather than opposite like a normal bash. But Vula has been the champion of coming up with different strategies that are comparable to the KBM ones using double bashes without using those double bashes. And his swamp entry is a perfect example of that. We'll see more and more of that as it goes on, as this run goes on. Primorix coming up on swamp entry. Let's see how it goes for him. Oh, Vula having some trouble with his frog.
Oh, accidentally killing the
go
frog.
to a
He's gonna
backup.
have to... Okay, good. He has a backup for that. That's excellent.
Nicely done. All right,
On the
Primorix on
right.
swamp entry.
Yeah, using those double bashes very well considering how new he is.
That was very well done.
Vulajin on the left, going for his Kuro cutscene skip, gets it. Gets hung up a little bit on the stage geometry there, but no big deal. Still got the cutscene skip, saving in 17 seconds over not doing it.
Primorix has made it up to Stomp now. Vulajin, meanwhile, is approaching Charge Flame. Going to have a cutscene skip and a little bit of movement. He'll be there to the Charge Flame tree. That's about what a lot of runners consider basically the halfway point. We're not really halfway done with... We're more than halfway done with the run now, but this is about the point where the movement sort of picks up and we head into the mid and late game in terms of movement tricks and techniques with the unlocking of the air dash ability that you see from Vula there.
Yeah, up until this point, for those not familiar with Ori and the Blind Forest skill tree, Charge Flame is intended to be picked up much earlier in the game if you were to play through it as a casual player. And as such, it kind of gates a lot of our late game modifications to dash that we like to get. So it's not until we get to that Charge Flame tree that we can really start turning on those abilities and going faster.
All the really powerful stuff. Primorix has made it through his cutscene skip. So match for match with Vula there. And here we're going to see Primorix take a small detour to grab an extra health cell. We mentioned this at the start of the race. He takes this to have 5 HP now, which is a little bit of extra safety throughout the rest of the run. Can take some more hits that Vula will not be able to take. Vula, of course, has 4 HP, so he can also take a hit in areas like Misty Woods, not going for the technically optimal 3 HP for most of the run. But that little bit extra bit of safety for Primorix will hopefully come in handy, or actually, rather, hopefully not come in handy, because that means Primorix is doing really well.
Yeah, Vulajin showing us a little bit different method of aiming for fast stompless. Gets the shot, gets over to the cell, and will be moving on to his feather skill.
That was a little bit shaky. The angle that he caught on that was perhaps not the most confident you could be in a fast stompless shot, but it did, in fact, still hit the rocks that it was supposed to, and this trick was successfully completed. We'll be moving on to collect Feather and up into Sorrowville. Vula Sarabash is another thing along those lines of what I was mentioning, where he has come up with his different strats to accommodate the slight disadvantage you get from playing on controller. There you go, very nicely done. Bashing off of a dead enemy at the end there.
Yeah, like many things in this game, the first frame after an enemy dies is a special one, and in this case, you can still bash off of it, and Vula uses that to excellent effect to be able to charge dash and then bash off of that bird twice when it dies after the second one.
So here we're going to see Vulajin start a long save anywhere, playing behind the ability menu for an upcoming Terror Break trick and a cutscene skip. We're going to see that menu pretty much for a while on his side of the screen. Primorix, on the meantime, has taken a quick pause to level up charge dash early. That's a little bit interesting, and he looks like he is actually going for fast Stompless. That caught a little high. The angle looks a little low. We'll see how it turns out. I believe... Oh,
he got
nice.
It. Very nice.
Well done.
So Vulajin, difficult to see behind the ability menu. He's floating up to get that Sunstone as Primorix gets his feather, and we'll get a bit of an updated time difference here.
Pretty significant. I mentioned earlier that it would take a mistake from Vula for Prim to catch up, and that is even more evident now. We're going to need to see some serious problems on Vulajin's side, which is still possible. We've got Misty Woods, we've got the end game coming up. It is still definitely possible. For Vula's sake, I hope it doesn't happen. Primorix coming up on Sarabash now, taking an extra safety save up top here just in case. Let's see how he does. This trick is not easy, despite how a lot of the runners, including Vulajin, make it look. Primorix doing very well. He's up and through. Nice job.
Yeah, and Primorix safety saving very liberally coming through here. Even burning a lot of his energy through Valley of the Wind, as a lot of our runners like to not do, and making up for it by just taking a quick save on the Valley Teleporter.
Alright, so now, checking in with Vula, we're seeing him flying through Misty Woods. This area, we now have all of the movement skills available to us that let us go just absolutely insanely fast through this area. Vulajin, well practiced, knows what he needs to do, doing all of it. It's just a beauty to watch. Primorix has made it to charge jump now, so we'll see him do the Terror Break trick and get his Sunstone and be heading down to Misty Woods as well. But Vulajin is already at climb, and that is a pretty significant deficit.
Yeah, and at this part of the late game, I'd expect to see Vulajin stretch that lead out even more as his greater experience just making use of those tools that he has comes into play.
I'm just watching Vula go through this area. I do it myself, and it's still just so much fun to watch. In particular, since I know how much fun it is to do. Oh my goodness, so many charge dashes.
Yeah, watching a skilled runner like Vulajin move through Misty Woods is a joy. And here Vula will be showing us a little bit of a controller special, being able to pre-charge a wall charge jump there to get through that meatball shaft a little bit faster.
And the mini-boss is gone. Goodbye.
What mini-boss?
Vula himself came up with that strat we use, nicknamed Bang Zoom, to kill that mini-boss so fast. So no surprise that he pulls it off perfectly.
Oh no! What a death!
Whoa, my goodness, that's so much! That is no joke. That is one of the most brutal deaths you can possibly take in the entire run. That is insane. It's not enough for Primorix to catch up, but it is, I mean, do that again, Vulajin, and Primorix is right on your tail. Primorix taking a death as well, though definitely not as costly as that one from Vula. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. I can't believe how much time that cost. That's insane.
Yeah, I saw the death and I was expecting, you know, maybe after the mini boss or here at the 4th keystone where he just dropped a save. But yeah, when I saw him reload at the climb tree, I was a little bit shocked, especially considering that he was talking about taking some extra safety.
Yeah, he did mention that if he was on PB, or felt like he was on PB pace, he might go for all of the risky stuff, but I wasn't thinking this was the kind of run where he would do that. Maybe Vula was, we'll have to ask him later. But that, recovering nicely though, he's made it through, back to the point that we were at before. Still very much ahead of Primorix. It's going to take more than even that most brutal of deaths for him to catch up. But for Vula's sake, please don't do that again.
Yeah, that is a painful death. He seems to have recovered from it nicely, though, getting the mini boss down, moving through Misty without any issues, and making his way back out.
Alright, we're back in Blackroot now for Vulajin. We have to revisit to collect the last skill. This is, of course, the all skills category. Grenade. We collect it now because it's slow to get early on and doesn't help us out a whole lot, so we come back and get it last. Doing a long save anywhere from that lever, this is going to carry all the way to a long cutscene that we're going to skip using the save anywhere glitch.
Yeah, and that grenade skill, of course, not being particularly useful in the all skills run, except for right at the end, where it allows us, in combination with another fairly benign skill in climb, to do what's called a grenade jump and skip about half of the final cutscene.
Very true. One thing I want to mention here as well, we know for a fact that Vulajin is watching his opponent. He knows where Primorix is in terms of the route, so despite that absolutely monstrous death, Vulajin knows he's still quite far ahead and he's probably not panicking or anything like that at this point, just continuing with the run, finishing it up. Nice, another pre-charged wall jump. That strat's always kind of fun to watch. And we've now collected grenade. That was a little while ago, but we are headed to the final dungeon to finish up the run for Vula. Primorix is done with Misty Woods. Check in with him and is teleporting to Glades to go collect grenade for himself.
And we can tell Vulajin's feeling pretty comfortable with this race. He's actually stopping in to the Speed Gaming chat to talk with the people there.
Ooh, Vula even stopping off here to collect a 6th health just to be 100% sure that there isn't anything coming up in the run that's going to cause him to lose more time from Primorix here. The health, of course, is for the final escape. We never cleaned the water, which is something you're supposed to do, and there is a water pit in the final escape you have to swim through. It is possible and optimal, or near optimal for humans, at least, to swim through that pool with 5 HP. A lot of runners take 6 for that extra safety, as we're seeing Vula do here, and Prim will also be doing coming up soon.
Yeah, that...
There was Door Warp, by the way.
Yeah, frame perfect trick, Vulajin nailing it. Again, as we expect with a runner of his experience. That 5 health swim, very precise movement, a little bit easier on controller with the analog directions and not being limited to just up, left, right, and down. It's a really weird order to say them. Ooh, Primorix taking a bit of a death there.
Even with experience, like, top runners still have trouble with this final escape. It's still brutal. Like, the movement's fine. We're all well and good with the actual movement, but there's just trick after trick, and they can really throw you off. Door warp into warm skip if you do that, but Vula did not do that justifiably. Into the swim, into the grenade jump. It's kind of rough for the end of a run. Vulajin has made it through the swim. He's made it past the trigger that would spawn a very large bird to kill him instantly. Here's the grenade jump. First try. GG Vulajin.
Yeah, very nice run from Vulajin. Even with that death, he'll have a mid-31, which is a very respectable time and one that Primorix is going to have difficulty matching.
Absolutely. That's much faster than Primorix's PB even.
For his part, Primorix has grabbed his 6 health already, so won't need to grab this one that Vulajin did. And just need to finish up getting to Mount Horu, do his door warp, and then we'll be up for his final escape.
And there is time for Vulajin, ending with a 31:42.9. As Primorix enters the final dungeon. Take energy on the door warp, please, Primorix. This is a 1-frame input. You enter the door, wait for an autosave, and then reload and enter the door again, or exit the dungeon on the first frame that the game loads. I believe... Nice!
Gets it. And yeah, for some strange reason, that puts us at the end of the dungeon, saving several minutes, I believe.
Oh, so many minutes. Horu's really long. Although I guess we technically do have another trick besides door warp to get down much faster, so it's... I'd say about a minute. That sounds about right. Here we go into the final escape.
And Primorix making excellent use of those charge dashes, charge jumps, bashing off the lanterns, stomping through this floor. We'll see how he decides to go about this room. It seems like every runner has their own way of going through the final escape. It's always great to see.
Here's the swim. Should have no trouble with that extra health. Nicely done. Over the trigger. Up the final column here. Here is the grenade jump going for it anyway. Lines up nice. There's the jump, and we're good. GG, Primorix. We'll have to wait for the little bit of the final cutscene that we do see, even with the grenade jump here, for the final. But Vulajin takes game 1 of this best of 3, and we'll be moving on to game 2 very soon after Primorix finishes. After a small break, of course.
Yeah, and Primorix finishing up looks like it'll be maybe even sub 34 within a minute of his personal best. So very impressive run from Primorix for us. Just running back to the right with Naru here, character that we very seldom see in this speedrun for a 33:57 flat. GG Primorix, very nice.
Absolutely, very nicely done. We're seeing a quick comment from Primorix in the race chat here. He'll take a 33. Absolutely, I agree. Nicely raced. Not enough to beat Vula, but, I mean, that's honestly what you expect right now. We'll see if Vula can continue this trend, but for now, we're going to take a break, about 8 minutes or so, and we'll be back with you after that.
Welcome back, Ori fans, to the All Skills Tournament for 2019. We are still in the middle of our best of 3 for Seed 12 Vulajin versus Seed 28 Primorix. I'm still Halcyon, and joining me is still Shed. Shed, what do you think about that first raid?
It was a pretty good watch, to be honest. Primorix was doing really well for themselves, and Vula had some trouble and made it even a little bit exciting, although it was definitely solidly ahead for most of the race and managed to take it down. Let's see if Vula can repeat that in this game too.
Yeah, or even I'd love to see either of them get a PB here. Would be amazing to have happen.
That's true. PBs are in striking distance for both of them based on their recent play for sure. Who knows, maybe we'll even manage to see a game 3, although that would take a lot of trouble from Vulajin, I think.
It would not be the first time Primorix has taken a game off of someone who was definitely supposed to beat him in this tournament. So we can all hope for the game 3.
Wonder if that makes Vulajin a little bit more scared than he might otherwise be. All right, here we go. Lined up at the starting line for the second race. And they're off. I would expect to see something quite similar to what we saw in Game 1. Mostly keeping pace, Vulajin pulling slightly ahead here and there with just some minor optimizations, slightly better strats in the micros, at least until we get into Black Road Burrows itself.
Yeah, of course, both of our runners just running left, jumping.
It's quite a change of pace compared to the end game of this speed run. Coming back when you reset or start a new run or whatever, and you come back and you're back in glades and all you can do is run and jump. It's such a change. That's part of the reason we give the runners a break between runs.
Yeah, even the music in game reflects that really well. You go from the final escape music with just very upbeat or up tempo and lots of strings and very urgent feeling, and then you get back into glades right at the beginning and just very mellow music.
That's just that's credit to the beauty of this game, both in looks and audio. To be honest, the music in this game is wonderful and it's so well. Quick check-in, we actually saw a little bit of trouble from Vula here in the Frankie fight, that first little challenge that the game throws at you after picking up our attack in the form of Sign. And Primorix has taken a couple seconds. Vula, that was interesting. Did Vula get an XP pickup animation at any point in there? That's abnormal if he didn't.
He might have gotten it a little bit earlier.
Interesting. Adapted well, at least. Has moved on. Taking that small lead back from Primorix, and is going to pull ahead very, very slightly here as we approach the Ghost Door.
Yeah, both of our runners grabbing that keystone, dropping their save, diving, and Primorix nailing that 1 HP, an improvement over the last run for him.
We're going to collect our first health cell, a little bit of safety as we move throughout the. And we'll just be heading down to wall jump again. We saw this in the first race, collecting some XP for some timed level ups.
Yep, runners taking quick peeks at their UI. Of course, we play when we can with the UI off. Keeps all of the text in the game from showing up, meaning we don't have to mash through any text boxes or anything. Very nice for a speed game, but turning it on just for a few frames every now and then to verify XP counts, health, energy totals. Ooh.
Okay, we're okay. Little bit of a stumbling block there for Primorix with some pickup animations he might not have been expecting. But his XP is nicely lined up for a level up on the way out. Vulajin's as well, as we collect wall jump here.
Yeah, only about an 8-second.
Oh wait, hold on.
Them here.
I'm mistaken. Vulajin had an early level up and is going to have to take a slight bit of time loss here to break up Ramble Wall in his way.
Yeah, and that's actually a little bit more concerning for him, considering that he is planning to go for that genocide route. So, wanting to make sure he gets as much of this XP as possible, taking a little bit of damage from that other Bramble Wall.
I think his XP should be fine. It's a little bit question marks exactly how much he has right now. We'll see if he needs to adapt in any form. There is a little bit of a window. It's not especially precise for the genocide route. You'll probably see him check in with his exact XP count when we do the save anywhere to skip the cutscene at the start of Blackroot, and we'll see if he is able to adjust if necessary to the exact XP count that he has going in. Primorix is going to have a little bit of an easier time with the XP counts, both because he didn't have that trouble and also because he does the non-genocide route, which is much, much easier in terms of the arithmetic that you need to do. Looks like Vula is 12 to level. So the way that's going to work is he will need to adapt slightly, but he's definitely still very much in range for actually doing the genocide strat and the cycle and all that. But we'll see him take an earlier level up than he'd like right here at the start. We'll see if he can adapt properly. Looks good to me.
Yeah, ducking to pan the camera down to avoid killing another slime up higher too early. Good adaptation there. And both of our runners now into Blackroot, moving across this pit of spikes. They only do 3 damage, but it's very hard to get back out of the pit if you fall in. So even though it wouldn't kill our runners instantly, they'd probably take a death to it.
Yeah, it's not a fun time when you fall in that pit. Primorix making it up to that 100 XP orb. So he's all set in terms of XP for the Frankie Walk. Maybe 1 or 2 extra slimes on the way. But I would not expect to see any trouble in terms of XP count from him. Vula's got a couple more slimes in his way, but should be just fine as well. Made the cycle as well, so Vula is saving that extra little bit of time over Primorix that the genocide route offers him.
And Vula just barely making that platform cycle in the room with Dash.
Oh no, Primorix!
Did he get hit and fall off? Is that what happened there?
I believe that's what happened, yeah. So he's going to have to wait an 8-second cycle here, losing a bit more time. Vulajin's going to definitely capitalize on that now. He's made it up to the...
Yeah, Primorix taking a little bit of extra time up there at the lantern to let the XP despawn. He did not want to pick that up or he'd level up too soon and mess up his Frankie Walk, have to reload an earlier save, so good awareness on him.
Absolutely, yeah. Taking that time loss for that platform cycle is significantly less than it would be if you mess up your XP route for Frankie Walk. That can be absolutely devastating. Alright, Vulajin has collected Dash now. Primorix is pretty far behind now, just starting the cutscene skip, and Vula will be progressing on to Frankie Walk.
Yeah, a little bit of an update. Vulajin only 5 seconds behind his personal best at the dash tree, so he had a pretty good early game. Oh no!
Oh no! Vula had trouble with that exact thing in the first race as well, so that's a little bit interesting. Frankie Walk, it's something you get good at as you keep going. It can be pretty challenging for someone just learning to run, but there's so many tiny things that can go wrong, that things like that can just happen no matter how many times you practice this. That's true of most things in Ori, to be honest. Doesn't matter how many times you practice it, they're so complex sometimes that things can just go wrong.
Yeah, Vulajin finishing up his Frankie Walk just fine, getting into the Death Gauntlet, going for this dash glide over, getting it just fine this time. Nailing all of these little movements that he had a little bit of trouble with last game.
We'll through the Death Gauntlet. Dropping down to the bottom of Moon Grotto, going to be going for that cycle. Primorix finishing his Frankie Walk, making it through the door into Death Gauntlet himself. Nice God Cycle, I believe. Looked like it.
No, he unfortunately got blocked by the energy crystal.
That's what I get for paying attention to Primorix instead. But it pays off as Primorix makes it through the Death Gauntlet here and is dropping down.
Yeah, we'll see if he can make his own God Cycle. Maybe pick up those 8 seconds. Almost gets it.
That was so close. Vulajin making it pretty high up that wall again. It was not easy. Little high five there. This time we see it, unlike last race where one of the runners was in the middle of blind movement when we saw that high five.
Yeah, and Vulajin going now for this grotto skip. Again, very precise jump. Gets it just fine, no problems here.
Nice and smooth. Nice little optimization from Vula there, jumping from the right wall directly onto that wooden platform. That's can be a little bit difficult, but just kind of depends on your spacing as you wall jump up the wall. It's the little things like this that you start noticing as differences that you can really tell how much time someone has put into the game in terms of practice.
Yeah, I'd say this particular split from double jump to the beginning of the Ginso tree is kind of that one that takes the longest to really gel for a lot of runners. The wall movement is very difficult to optimize.
Yeah, there's not so much in the way of like specific tricks really either. I mean, there's grotto skip for sure, but everything else is just raw movement. It's just dash and double jumps and wall jumps, and the walls are not favorable like I talked about in the first race. They can really trip you up sometimes, so it tests your skills for sure.
Now Vulajin lining himself up here to go for this quick cycle on these spinners.
Not
quite getting it.
Alright, Vula has made it to the Ginso tree. Primorix is making his way up through Grotto into Hollow Grove and towards the Ginso tree.
Yeah, Vulajin showing us again that very nice double jump movement in the Ginso tree. Deciding to go for a little bit more precise thing there. We'll see if how aggressive he decides to be on these Gamer cycles. Looks like he's going for the fastest one, and he nails it.
That is so good. That cycle that Vula has made in that second room twice now it's so hard to get. It can take a lot of time to figure out even what you need to do, let alone do it with consistency.
Yeah, it's even a little bit counterintuitive. You, especially when you're learning the game, you tend to think of dash as a good tool for moving sideways quickly, but to make that cycle, you have to be dashing off of essentially every single one of those platforms. Vula now into his mini-boss. We'll see if he can improve on that 5 cycle from last race. I don't think he's quite gotten enough shots in on these cycles just yet.
Still very good.
Yep, again, Vulajin not really needing to go for anything crazy here. Just because of the level of experience difference between these two runners.
Yeah, after
cycles, plenty.
Definitely. After that first race, especially with the spoilers, the very, very brutal death that Vula took in Misty Woods, he has said afterwards that he's going to take it even safer, even more safe, just absolutely ensure that he's going to win this race, and doing quite a good job of it so far. There's plenty of race to go, but definitely keep taking that solid lead over Primorix that we expect him to see, and keeping it pretty well, even more so than he did in the first race.
Yeah, Vulajin coming up on his key dupe, Primorix starting in on this mini boss. Gonna try and improve on that 6th cycle from last race.
Looking okay so far. Nice.
Yeah, very nice. Manages to get that 5 cycle. So
barely made it, but he did do it.
Nice little bit of time save for Primorix there over his last run. Meanwhile, Vulajin successfully getting his key duplication. Heading up to actually unlock the door this time. And doing a little bit of a hyperspeed there off of that death to get into the 2nd mini-boss.
That 2nd mini-boss is so trivial. I don't even know why we call it a mini-boss. It's more for, like, more for respect to the casual run rather than it being an actual mini-boss in our way.
Well, it's there to, you know, teach you that you can fling projectiles back at enemies and do damage to them. And when you've put as much time into this game as a lot of us running it have, it's not a hard concept to pick up, so it tends to go down pretty quickly.
All right, here we go. We've got some tricks on both sides of the screen right now. Vulajin on the left going for swamp entry. Primorix on the right doing the key duplication. Vulajin doing okay. Here we go. This is the spookiest bit of this trick. And Vula does it even spookier, but he does it nicely. 2 for 2 on that trick today.
Now, while that was happening, Primorix unfortunately missing that key duplication again.
Oh no.
Going for a little bit slower and safer setup that time, gets it, rekindles his save, so those 3 keystones he duplicated are now his, no matter what happens.
Yeah,
and,
unfortunately,
he'll make his way out of against it.
Unfortunately, the way the key duplication works is you need to die while there are keys in a door nearby. And in this particular spot, if you are too far away from the door, then you don't get any keys in the door. And that is exactly what happened to Primorix, unfortunately. But we're past it now. He's into the 2nd mini-boss. Vulajin on the left has made it to Stomp and is headed on his way out of Swamp towards the left side of the map. We didn't really talk about Stomp last time. It's basically a ground pound, but notably it moves Ori down quite fast and also enables Stomp cancels where you can charge dash significantly more often than you're supposed to, since it normally costs an energy, but a Stomp cancel makes it not. So Vulajin uses that quite a lot, as do most of, in fact, all of the top runners really do. I don't think we saw any out of Primorix in terms of the true fastest strats where you sort of get 2 charge dashes in a row, but even Primorix will do Stomp cancels here and there. And of course, it's all skills. You need to get Stomp. It's a skill. Short cutscene for Vula. Nice and easy.
Yeah, Primorix now setting up for his swamp entry. Dropping a safety save down. Nice and close. In case he accidentally dumps the Frankie into the water, he'll be able to retry very quickly. A little bit of mishap with that first shot, sending it into the wall. So he's going to go back for another one. And
Second try, still
gets
good.
a second try.
Not losing too much time there, although he is losing time in the race since Vula got it first. Just widening this pretty significant lead even more. Vulajin has made it to charge Flame, using a save anywhere to skip a long cutscene here in front of this teleporter, and we'll be continuing to move.
Yeah, a little bit of an update on another metric that our runners may be thinking about as they're running this race. Vulajin only 13 seconds behind his PB at Stomp and 14 seconds behind it at Charge Flame.
Doing quite well. I know for a fact that Vula's PB had a pretty rough time in the late game as well, so he's got a lot of time save, and he might be thinking about the PB right now as we speak, although that kind of thinking is what caused the major death we saw last race, so maybe a little bit hesitant on that. We'll see exactly what strats he decides to go for in late game here as we move on, and of course what could happen here at Fastopolis and further on in Sorrow. Speaking of Fastopolis, Vulajin lining up for it. That looked okay. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Vulajin seems to have liked it, taking off, going for the cell.
Beautiful.
Gets there and hits the bird. Very nicely done. On the right, Primorix going for his Kuro cutscene skip, setting up, buffering the bash, and getting through just fine.
Nice. Matching Vula in that respect. Taking a little bit of time loss here to grab an extra health cell. We mentioned this last race. This is just for some more safety. Primorix maybe not feeling quite as confident as in the late game, which is perfectly understandable. Alright, Vula lining up for Sorrow Bash. Vula's Sorrow Bash reminder is pretty spooky in terms of the strats he actually goes for even, so that, oh boy. Okay, we're good. Some of those angles were pretty sketchy, but made it in, adapted well, and up into Sorrow Pass. Not gonna lie, Vula is on insane pace right now. We mentioned that he was about 14 seconds behind his PB a little while ago. He's plus 12 at Glide, and we'll get another metric for you here at Charge Jump, but that's... Vula's PB, reminder, is sub 30, and he's only 12-ish seconds behind it right now. That is insanely fast for any runner, not let alone one of Vula's caliber.
Yeah, and actually tied with his PB at Charge Jump, so some good time save there on that split.
All right.
Come on, Vula, keep it up.
This is gonna be exciting, I think.
Primorix
a
taking
little
a
bit
death.
of a death for Primorix. That's an interesting save. I don't think I've seen many people have a save there, but paying off a little bit for Primorix here, not going back as far as he could.
Yeah, unfortunately, still having to watch that cutscene, but much nicer than having to go all the way back to the Spirit Tree.
Definitely.
Yeah, Primorix, as we noted last time, dropping a lot of safety saves through this area. Because Feather doesn't recharge your health and energy the way that all of the skill trees do, a lot of our runners will go without saves all the way from the Spirit Tree to Feather, and that can be a little bit risky. Primorix, knowing that this area can be pretty dangerous, deciding that it's worth taking that little bit of time loss to pick up health and energy at the teleporter and dropping several safety saves. Nice Fastopolis. Vulajin. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that Primorix, reminder, is just started learning this run like 2 months ago.
Not even.
3 months ago, even. Like 2.5 months ago. It's being able to do Fastopolis that early on in your Ori career is so amazing.
Yeah, thanks to our truck for noticing this for us. Vulajin working his way through Misty Woods, not dropping any safety saves, so He's thinking about that PB.
He really is. Couple little stumbling blocks here in this split, but made it through. Clean and
Yeah, Primorix setting up both of his birds here for Sorrow Bash. Not using a double bash there to be able to manipulate one bird in there as well as himself.
beautifully done for Primorix.
Uses two birds instead.
Went up a little bit higher than he might have liked from that Sorrow Bash, but is now in Sorrow Pass, and hopefully no troubles for him. Meanwhile, Vula was -5 on his PB at Climb and is flying through this area. Give Vula your energy, folks. He's closing in on the end of this run and is doing very, very well. Oh no! Okay, he's got an extra health. What can he do? What can he do? He's alright.
Nice recovery. Oh my goodness. There's
Okay,
that 4
there's
health
the
safety
save.
coming in.
And he's going to drop a safety save as well. Just making sure. Oh, man. I don't know exactly how that's going to affect his delta with this PB, but at least the race is okay. We won't have a repeat of last race.
Yeah, I don't think that will have cost him too much time, though I'm sure it was more than those 5 seconds that he was ahead.
I can imagine the combination of being ahead and a mistake like that, and then recovering from it. Oh man, Vula's heart must just be running right now.
Yeah, but again, excellent awareness from Vulajin in keeping his cool and knowing that he has that safety of that 4th health. He can drop down, take a hit from the spikes, and charge jump back up to the lantern. That is not an easy thing to keep your mind on when something like that happens.
There we go. Out of Misty Woods, back teleported to Glades to head down into BRB and collect grenades. Check in with Primorix as well. He's made it through the vast majority of Sorrow Pass and is just going to be heading down out of Sorrow Pass now towards Misty Woods.
Yep, Vulajin getting that dash glide into that long cutscene trigger, save him some time in the slow walk out, burning the last of his energy, and getting to the grenade tree.
Getting word that he's still ahead, -1 on his PB at grenade here. And a lot of the time save that Vula has in the late game is in these last couple splits. Let's see if he can keep this pace up.
Yeah,
oh,
moving.
Primorix. He took so much damage on the way into Misty here. Oh, no! Okay, he has a save at the start, so not as bad as it could be. Not back up in the Sunstone, but take another shot.
Vula, unfortunately, having a little bit of trouble getting up out of that black root area, but does make it. Does not get sent back to the grenade tree. And teleporting now with full health and energy, so he'll have plenty of resources to get himself to Mount Horu.
Oh my, no. These little screw-ups right now.
Would not be surprised to see Vulajin decide to skip that 6th health. Yeah, he does. He's, he knows he's in the hunt, even with those little mistakes here and there. Check in with Primorix as Vula is in this door opening cutscene. He's made it through the first half of Misty Woods to the climb tree. So he'll get a save, a refill of his health and energy. He had taken a couple of hits on the spikes. Come on, Vula. Let's
Please
see that
door
first
warp.
try door warp.
I believe. Please. Yes!
He gets it. We're getting word from the truck. He is +9 seconds entering Mount Horu.
Alright, this is gonna be close.
I don't know if he has time save in this final escape to make up for that, but
It's gonna be close. I don't remember exactly how much he has. I know he has some, but it's going to be really close. Saw Primorix take a little bit of a break there to wait out the save timer to get a safety save down in that spot. But all eyes to the left right now as Vul is finishing up this run, very close to his. Doing okay. The swim's coming up.
Again, this 5 health swim, very precise.
Extra waiting to make sure these fish are in better spots as we need to bash off them to make it. He's through the swim, over the trigger. All that stands between Vula and the end of this run now is the grenade jump. We'll see exactly what kind of time he gets. There it is.
Input. Does not soft lock. I think that was good.
I think that is. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and Ori's running there, so he gets it.
I'm pretty sure that's a PB for Vulajin.
For reference, Vulajin's PB before this race was a 29:49. Thank you, Truck. And I believe he will be ahead of that by several seconds. So GG Vulajin.
GG Vulajin. That is so impressive. Congratulations.
I think that might be our first PB in the bracket stages as well.
I think you might be right. There it is, 29:42.8. PB by 7 seconds.
Jumping back over to the right for Primorix. Having a little trouble getting across Valley. He dropped down a little bit. Able to save it with some charge jump. Teleporting to Glades to go get his light grenade.
Oh, kind of dash right into that slow zone there. That slow zone where Ori walks very slowly through persists from the cutscene skip way earlier on in the run. Typically want to try and dash glide over it is the best way to get past it, but Primorix ran into it face first and had to walk through a bit. Vulajin celebrating in Speed Gaming chat now. Congrats again, dude.
Yeah, Primorix opening up his save anywhere here, getting that cutscene skip on that very long cutscene, picking up his grenade skill, and will be on his way to Mount Horu to finish up his run.
Unfortunately, unlike Vulajin, Primorix not quite on pace for a PB, but going to be looking to finish up with a very respectable time here, assuming nothing major happens from here until the end. We'll be heading to Mount Horu, the entrance. There's Door Warp, there's the final escape. See how Primorix does.
And again, Primorix making an excellent showing, only having been running this game for less than 2 months, making it this far in the tournament. Overshooting that tree just a little bit. No big deal.
All right, made it to the entrance. We've seen 3 first try door warps now, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see if we can get a 4th.
Come on, Primorix, finish this one out strong for us.
Beauty. Wonderful. Trick's easy. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I'm going to tell you otherwise. The trick's hard. That is very, very, very nice that we've got 100% success rate in this match on that trick.
Yeah, I don't know that hard is the first word that comes to my mind when I think about door warp. Maybe annoying or stupid, but It is a difficult one to pull off. The timing is pretty precise. But Primorix making his way through this final escape. We've seen it 3 times already in this race.
Plenty of time before that in other races. Coming up on the swim, Primorix has 6 HP, so there should be no trouble. I believe he made it through with only 4 damage ticks anyway, so could have been 5 HP if he wanted. But the extra safety is always nice, a little bit of a weight off your mind. Lining up for the final grenade jump. Beautiful. GG
Yep.
Primorix.
Getting those inputs, getting the positioning and angle right, not running the game into a soft lock that can happen there. GG Primorix.
Man, what a race that was. It wasn't particularly close, but Vulajin racing himself really. It's quite exciting.
Oh, it looks like Primorix not quite getting the skip there. Looks like he got the what we call the fake grenade jump.
Oh no!
Or he not running at the end. So unfortunately, will be in this race for just a little bit longer.
I'm confused how that happened, because that looked so good.
It did. He even even did his few frames of running animation at the end right before the camera panned away from him. So. But Primorix closing out his tournament here today with a 35-15. Still very respectable time. I think that's still even better than his PB was when this tournament started. So
yeah, maybe not exactly
definitely
what he was looking for. Yeah, definitely. Maybe not exactly what he was looking for today in this race, but definitely a good run considering how new Primorix is to this game in this run. GG.
It looks like we have both Primorix and Vulajin waiting to join us for an interview here after their race. So we'll go ahead and get them in here. Primorix, Vulajin, GG to both of you. Vulajin, congratulations on your win and your PB.
Yo, thanks, guys. Jeez.
That was definitely a good one to watch for sure. Skirting a little bit close to it through the ending splits there. But the time save you had available in your old PB pulled ahead, and you managed to close it out. Run us through a little bit of your thoughts there. Were you looking at it the whole run, or did it really only sink in that it was possible?
No, I always, in tournament races, I always run with 2 copies of Live Split open because I'm a big idiot. One of them is the one that's connected to the race, and so it just runs a timer and nothing else. But the other one has my normal splits open, so that I can see like the exact time of how things are going. And I have it comparing against my targets to get a sub 30. And so around Bash, where I was still like 5 seconds ahead of those targets, and then Stomp was like 14, I'm like, this is probably pace. Given how bad that late game was, and even the 30 target splits I have, there's just a ton of room in the late game to save time, so I had a pretty good feeling.
Clutched it out. It was very, very nicely done.
Yeah, we were watching those, and I think Charge Jump was where you caught up with your PB and then took off ahead of it, which was really exciting to see. Primorix, for you, unfortunately, will not be continuing in this tournament, but put on a great show, upsetting Didu in the first round and putting together 2 very nice runs for us here today against Vulajin. How are you feeling about the tournament in general?
I mean, in general, I got way farther than I expected, obviously, or probably had any right to, so I'm thrilled with how I did. And even in this particular match, I told myself if I got to 33, I would be happy, and I, barely did, but I did, so I'll take it.
Yeah,
it still counts.
Definitely want to congratulate you on your progress so far. I know you're newer to the run, the community, and you have done amazing work so far. So congratulations on your result in this tournament.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Vulajin, looking forward, this next matchup that you have will be up against Hitachi Hex.
I'm dead.
You're dead.
Ori take.
Yeah, I'm dead. I knew that even if I beat Primorix, which, I mean, obviously I was favored by a very heavy margin, but I have never taken any of my opponents lightly ever in any of the tournament races, even down to when I raced Sonic Buster when she had like a 50-minute time. It was like, well, hey, sometimes you have those runs where you're like, yeah, my PB's to 33, and then I died 18 times to Sorrow Bash, and then I got really tilted, and then I did Misty as practice, and then got 50 minutes. So like I never underestimate my opponents. If I had like one additional like really bad death in that first race, it was going to be an actual race. But yeah, when it comes to Hitachi, you can't even overestimate him. He's just going to obliterate me.
We can take solace in being the Hitachi's victims as we go.
Ori hug.
All right, well, GG again. Congrats again, Vula. Absolutely phenomenal play today. Primorix did very well as well. That's going to do it for us right now on this particular match. Moving on with the Ori tournament, we have another match tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be the last match of the round of 16, and then we are on to the quarterfinals. But that will be Luster versus Lurking Assassin. Definitely tune in for that one.
Yeah, that promises to be another excellent matchup. So tune in for that one. Thank you again, Primorix and Vulajin, for that excellent race. Thank you, Shed, for commentating with us.
Of course.
With me. Of course, Nans and Nightfighter feeding us those wonderful stats and letting us know how our racers were doing from the truck, and Meldon keeping the whole stream going. Thank you all.
See you later.